majority of Americans are about to get about a $1,200 check in the mail from the federal government. But make no mistake, this is no federal bailout. Contrary to the 2008 recession, this bailout, if we're going to call it that, isn't coming as a result of some underlying demand or supply issue in the economy. It's not because of regulatory disarray. It is simply because the government, both on a state and federal level, has asked that we stay at home and cripple one of the best economies in generations in order to save lives. To be clear, that bargain is likely very worthy. If we look at the coronavirus versus the seasonal flu, its mortality rate and its transmission rate are likely magnitudes higher than the average flu. However, we cannot pretend as though this trade-off doesn't come with real human costs. Have we seen deaths of despair relating to suicidality and drug usage and alcoholism? They've all been increasing in recent years. And there's no question that this entire national quarantine will exacerbate that. But there are ways in which we can show how this money is not just only a rightful payment back to the people, but how it's simply a lifeline. For the majority of Americans who receive checks, it'll be going to making sure you can feed and care for your children, sustain your small businesses, make sure you pay rent on time. If you don't need the money, it's very easy. Pay it forward. Pay it forward in the form of delivery with heavy tips. Some of the few remaining small businesses that tend to employ workers who don't have a lot of savings. Pay it forward in the form of a gift card, and don't cancel your gym memberships. These are all things you still want to be there when this whole quarantine is over, but you cannot rely on that given the slimness of these profit margins. This is not a bailout. It's not even meant to instigate a demand shock of any kind. We already know people don't want to spend, but it's mainly because there are very few places to spend. There is food service, there are memberships, but calling such a payment stimulus is like calling a hurricane relief aid stimulus. It's a misnomer, and it's probably just describing an auxiliary function of such aid. In this case, we just need to keep the economy intact. If we want a V-shaped recovery, one in which, when we can reopen back up for business, small business owners can bring people back to their jobs, and people aren't already entrenched in thousands of dollars of debt, they need relief. It's not anti-conservative, and it's certainly not irresponsible to accept the fact that this was necessary.